I just think not enough is being made out of the fact that they knew about the tape and they knew it was on it. Yeah. Goodell, if he didn't know what was on that tape, he's a liar. I'm just saying it. He is lying. I think that dude is lying. If you put him up on a lie detector test, that guy would fail. And for all these people to pretend they didn't know is such f***ing bullshit. It really is. It's such f***ing bullshit. And for him to go on that press conference and pretend otherwise, I was so insulted.
You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And neither of us are currently under suspension. I've tried to suspend you a few times. You just ignore my emails.
Well, you should suspend me for having no internet connection the last 2 weeks. Last week was the recap. We had to do it from my phone. And last night, you're trying to do the picks podcast. My internet went down about 20 minutes in. And we couldn't make it. I couldn't place any bets. I had no internet. We could have done it through my phone, but I still couldn't place any bets. So we're doing it Wednesday night instead of Tuesday night.
Yeah, and for those looking, I'm including you, Duke, because I got a message from him wondering where we were. Yeah, it was internet, which we blame Shaw Cable for.
Yes.
It is not that Boyd's running on outmoded or antiquated equipment. It's the ISP.
And yes, some southeast areas of Calgary will be without internet service. Should be corrected early in the morning. Thanks. Just when I wanted to use it.
Well, imagine the tens of thousands of frustrated porn trollers.
Yeah, no kidding. But we should talk about Simmons and being suspended by ESPN for something that I didn't think was overly... I don't even know how to put it. It didn't seem too out of character for him or something that they shouldn't expect from him. In this instance, what is wrong with stating your opinion on a podcast,
which by its nature is editorial in content? It's not hardcore.
He's not
journalism.
A reporter.
It is commentary. It is editorial.
And coming from the people that had to admit today that their outside the lines report from Friday, they had paraphrased text messages from Bisciotti to Ray Rice. And they're talking about journalistic integrity?
Oh, yeah. And I read that piece on Friday, and I can still recall it. They strongly imply that they are giving the full text. This isn't a mistake. Because at one point they even say, when Ray Rice decided to save those text messages, well, that gives the strong impression that they are reading them and quoting them. Because they were in quotes. That was very disingenuous.
Clickbait, get more clicks, the more...
But on the Simmons
sensationalized
thing,
it is.
The show led off with the part where he calls Goodell a liar. And it doesn't include later on in the podcast where he basically dares ESPN to suspend him. So that may have, for all we know, angered them as much as anything. But...
Well, yeah, because he'd been suspended before, and nobody will come out and admit it, but this was 3 or 4 years ago when him and Adam Carolla did a podcast on Carolla's podcast, and they were talking about fucking jerk shway and all this fucking porn shit. And then Simmons was silent for 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, no, he wasn't suspended. Well, fuck that. He got suspended because it's not what the ESPN personalities are supposed to do.
Well, and don't forget that ESPN's parent company is Disney.
It doesn't matter. For them, for anybody that's created an audience like Simmons has, I still can't believe he stayed through it when his last contract ended. Because he could make more money just going out on his own.
Yeah, but they gave him the financial backing and the platform to do Grantland. Right, so he doesn't have to pay all those writers. And supposedly Grantland pays really well in this day and age.
Yeah, it pays him well, but how much money
he
does
pays
he pays
the writers well. It's supposed to be a really good gig.
Yeah, but when you can't say what you want.
Well, no, and he was supposed to get the autonomy over Grantland that he couldn't have on ESPN.
Yeah, swearing and everything.
More pointed opinions.
And he can't.
No, obviously not. But, part of this reminds me of Doonesbury back in the day was wildly censured for running a cartoon about Mitchell, the Attorney General, where they said, though all the facts are not in, based on past behavior and the current situation, a reasonable person can only conclude that he is guilty. That's guilty, guilty, guilty. Which is essentially what Simmons said. Here, Goodell is guilty. And if you don't see that as the likely truth based on the facts, you're a fool. And you're full of, as he so eloquently put it, fucking bullshit.
Well, and here's the problem. He says that about Goodell. There was a cartoon. It was in one of the Chicago papers, I believe. It might have been Arizona, but they had a cartoon about the Ray Rice thing, and it was Rice dragging his wife out of the elevator with Goodell saying, "Here, let me hold the door for you." Now, is that not basically the same thing?
Well, it is, but
they're putting it out there, and I guarantee you the cartoonist wasn't suspended. Like if you can't have opinion in something that's supposed to be basically an editorial or his views in a podcast, he's not representing ESPN's views.
No.
In this.
He is a columnist and a podcaster. Everything he does is opinion based.
Like, okay, here's how stupid ESPN is, and if anybody recalls any of this, when the Ray Rice thing happened, ESPN suspended Stephen A. Smith for his opinion on it. They suspended Max Kellerman from Sports Nation for relaying a story that happened in his life when he slapped his then girlfriend, now wife.
Well, yes, and
in an
by
argument.
The way, on that one, he was trying to point out how wrong it was and that, you have to change as a human being. This was not... In no way was Max Kellerman implying that this was okay. He was just saying, you know what? I've been there. I was that idiot, was kind of what he was saying.
And they want that type of opinion and that type of controversy to a degree. It's almost like the NFL now. We want you to be vicious on the field, but not too vicious. There's this line. And we're going to suspend you if you tippy-toe over it. Even though we know it's going to get us in the press and it's going to get us people watching. We can't really condone it, but we kind of want you to do it. And it's bullshit.
Well, ESPN is schizophrenic right now because they want to be considered an actual journalistic outlet. But they are so in bed now with the leagues that they cover that they're utterly hamstrung.
Yeah, they can't. And that's scary. But it's happening at Marlon. It's not just on ESPN. It's all the news coverage. Just to get a story, they will keep sources or not be hard on certain topics because the parent company, they're all the news organizations are owned by conglomerates or big business. So I believe they don't go after stories they could.
I keep wondering where this liberal media shibboleth is. When, as you said, they're all corporate.
Yeah, but, well, no, Marlon, it's liberal media because they protect the liberals and the liberal companies and the unions and all that other bullshit. And the conservative media protects the race baiters and the fucking corporate giants from anything wrong and any conservative politician, and they bash the liberals. And then on the other side, the liberals do the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the world we live in now. And if I'm Simmons, I'm done with ESPN after this. I wouldn't quit because there's too much money to give up. But when his contract's done, do you think he's going to stay? He had trouble staying the last time because of bullshit like this. That was one of his biggest problems, why he was thinking of leaving and starting up something on his own.
Yeah. No, and he basically says he's going to go public, and
he won't.
I like the idea that he keeps his money right now. I still find him.
I would never advocate.
I think he is really talented. He's one of my favorites to read. He makes me laugh. I know some people like to bash him. I'm not one of those people. But
and his and cousin sells football. Although they're by no means experts, it's very entertaining when they guess the lines. It's my favorite podcast during football season.
Yeah, when it's not up by noon, I start to get a little pissed off. It's like, where the hell is Cousin Sal? 3 weeks. Yeah, I know.
But I can't see him staying. I'm not advocate. I would never advocate anybody to walk away for money, and he probably can't because it'll be a contract.
Yeah.
So he can't walk away or he'd be in breach. So there's no point in even talking about that. But I don't think he sticks around for another contract.
I wonder if he just comes out and taunts them to, kind of like a Shanahan move. I'm just going to dick around till you have to fire me and pay me.
Yeah, but the problem is with the contract, they fire him. He's like a coach. He won't be able to work anywhere else.
Yeah, but he has enough of a following. He's probably one of the most followed people, and speaking for myself, but his audience is pretty damn loyal. We're going to find him wherever he goes.
But how loyal? No, but Marlon, he wouldn't be able to broadcast or write. So who's sticking around 2 years later when he comes back?
Oh, I see what you mean. That they would have like a no compete that he has to be.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. I mean, he could do exactly what Corolla did in that situation.
No, he can't make any money.
Would put up the pod. Yeah. So
no, but
if they're still paying him, and then you keep your audience.
Here's the problem, though. Corolla wasn't doing a podcast. He couldn't go on radio. He couldn't have a radio show. Podcasting was in its infancy. It wasn't even popular then, 5 years ago. We think it's just been around forever. It's 5 years ago when he started. And nobody was doing it that was famous. Corolla's the reason all the comedians have podcasts now. All sports writers, most TV personalities all have something.
Yes.
So my bet would be that he wouldn't even be able to do podcasts.
Well, we don't know the nature of his contract. That would.
But why wouldn't they stop him from that? Like he gets over 1 million hits.
Well, again, you thought he was going to leave. They would have had to have made a lot of concessions.
And they did.
And we don't know what those concessions are. It might be, if we split ways, I can continue on my merry way. And Simmons does seem paranoid enough and knows that he flirts with this on a regular basis. So there might be some escape clauses built in for him.
But you've read the same books I have about ESPN.
Oh, yes.
They're fucking paranoid as motherfuckers on everything about what their talent does. Their talent's not allowed in their contracts to go on other networks' radio shows. There's only a couple of guys that do it because they don't care. Like Wilbon and Kornheiser don't pay any attention to that. Everybody else, you see them nowhere. Like, I was shocked Michelle Beadle was on Opie and Jimmy the other day, which was unbelievable. But they're not a sports talk show. Like, they can't go on Dan Patrick. They can't go on any CBS radio. But they'll have all the guys on from the other networks. But they don't allow their hosts to go anywhere.
That's an interesting point, too. We'll have to see how that plays out. I do like that immediately the hashtag Free Bill Simmons started. From anything I've read from the New York Times, through a Forbes article, through all of this, support for Simmons was pretty strong.
He did nothing wrong.
No. He, in an opinion editorial commentary piece, gave his opinion.
Well, okay, and here's the other thing. If you look at that outside the lines, yes, they had evidence and facts of...
But that was a piece of journalism. That was not editorial commentary.
Listen, they had evidence and facts basically calling Goodell a liar. That was the whole point of that piece, was to show that he's lying about what he knew and when he knew it. So what is the difference between that and Simmons just flat out calling him a liar? There's no to me, it's the same story.
No, I agree. I don't think he did a damn thing wrong. And in fact, like, you told me about the podcast, because it was a rare case where I hadn't gotten to it the day it was released. And I listened to it with delight. It was a great podcast. And he was not clickbaiting or anything. He was legitimately angry. And you can tell the difference. Like, there was nothing manufactured about what he said.
No, he's talking about he loves sports and he hates to see it like it is now. And that's the frustration of a fan. You're pissed off at the league, but you still like watching the games. The NFL's got to be very careful, and the press too. Like, when you start putting gags on people that are paid to give their opinion, it's not a good look.
No, and they do it in subtle ways, in access, as you brought up earlier, right? If someone's too critical, they will either bar your access to the people you need to talk to do your job, or in the case of someone like Mike Silver, they will co-opt you entirely by hiring you and paying you way more money than you would make anywhere else. Now, those things I don't agree with, but fair enough. Now that they're actually, and I think it's clear that overtly or covertly, the NFL used their influence to bring this about.
Oh, guaranteed. They got a call. ESPN got a call.
Yep.
To me, this is no different than when they shut down that football show they had.
Oh, Playmakers. Yeah.
That was critical of the league.
Chris directed a few of those. But, yeah, so I was really familiar with its demise. Because its demise genuinely took food out of his family's mouth.
But everything in that has happened. The drug use, the PEDs, the wife beating. Yeah. So I don't know what. I don't even know what world we're living in, where words are suspended as much as fucking actions now.
Well, don't upset your corporate overlords. And
yeah, but that's all there is. Oh, that's the problem. That's the problem we have. Media was supposed to be impartial and present facts and dig for the deeper story. Now we've come to most stories are editorialized, and then you're getting suspended for that.
Well, the notion of an impartial media only existed for about 30 years and was a lie anyway, which was put into place by the Hearst newspapers. Previous to that, all newspapers had an opinion. And would say who was right or wrong. Yeah, it was an op-ed, but, they actually had opinions. It was Hearst who popularized the notion of an impartial media that, why are you required to tell both sides of this story? The NFL fucked up. That's the only story that should have to be told. The notion that this story should be impartial in any way is absurd.
Well, and the fact that they can pick up the phone, they've done it to ESPN's reported on this on the NBA, that they've done that. The NBA's phoned them over stories that were critical. Guaranteed the NFL has. Well, they have. They're League of Denial. They were going to run that on ESPN, and it aired on PBS.
Yeah, it was a partnership between Frontline and ESPN, but yeah, then it ended up only on PBS. And these were ESPN's own journalists that they hung out to dry on that, too.
Yeah. They're fucking hypocrites.
Not a surprise.
And nobody wants to fucking bite or fucking crush the goose that lays the golden fucking egg, which is football.
Yep.
Like, they'll crucify Rice on telecasts, and they'll prop Ray Lewis up like a fucking idiot to talk about it and use that fucking access he has to Ray Rice to get some insight or fucking opinion on it.
Well, he was going to go counsel Ray.
It's so frustrating that, and the only way to get around, that's why I think Simmons leaves now.
Yeah, but in 2 years, yeah, I'll still be back. I'll be waiting for the day, but I think that they'll find a way. So I could even see him being on Carolla's network.
Well, he would just start his own website.
Yeah, he'd affiliate it, though, because you're going to get the traffic through Carolla.
Well, Carolla...
And Carolla isn't going to suspend him for fucking anything.
No, Carolla would benefit more than Simmons.
Yeah. But it would help Simmons, too, so I could see... And they're friends, so I could see that working.
Yeah, but I don't... Nah. Simmons will... Nah. There would be no benefit for him to go there. He gets way more hits on his podcast than Carolla does.
Yeah, but...
Like, it's 1,000,001. Like, it's fucking retarded. Oh, I'm suspended. I said the R word.
Oh.
Okay, well, Marlon, you finished the podcast without me. I'm imposing a self-suspension.
Okay.
I'll be back next week.
Oh, you're going to be excited to see your picks. They're going to be exciting. Okay, well, and that said, let's get to the picks. The Thursday night game. The New York Giants are 3.5-point underdogs going to Washington. Well,
I wasn't going to talk here to make that run a little longer, but then I thought, well, you'll think I don't have internet again.
Yeah, I'd be... Oh, fuck, not again.
Yeah. I don't mind this game, just for the simple fact that the home team over, what is this, third year of Thursday night games? Third or fourth year of Thursday night games? The home team is overwhelmingly successful in these games. Even though the travel's not far for the Giants, I don't think the Giants are that good. They were gift wrapped that game against Houston by Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I think Kirk Cousins is for real. I think at the end of this year, or before maybe, RG3's out of Washington.
No, that would involve Schneider admitting he was wrong, and that's never going to happen. So I think you're probably correct in what should happen. But Washington also hasn't played the greatest secondaries under Kirk Cousins. So I'm not quite jumping. No, but I'm just saying I'm not jumping on the Cousins bandwagon quite yet.
Okay, everybody.
I don't hate this game either, but I don't want to commit to it right now. We generally don't bet Thursdays because Thursday games are a shit show, though you're very right about the home teams. That said, Washington played a ridiculous shoot 'em up and lost. I have no idea whether that motivates them or whether they are just drained to come out of that track meet and to play again this quickly on a Thursday.
Yeah, but you know what they showed me that's for real that we thought, well, it was just because they played Jacksonville? Foles got the shit beat out of him that game. I was
reading that tonight too.
Not just the supposed cheap shot. The one thing with their pass rush is for real.
Okay. That's a big point in favor, but let's move on and we'll definitely put that in we'll talk about it.
Okay.
And obviously for pool picks, we are both pretty strongly on Washington.
Yes.
Next game up. Tampa Bay +8 at Pittsburgh.
No, that one moved half a point.
Yeah, it did.
From last night.
I want to stay away from this.
Yeah, my opinion hasn't changed any from last night. The lost tapes will say that we both like Pittsburgh quite a bit, but we also think that Tampa Bay being embarrassed as badly as they were will come out more fired up. Now, it could just totally be a talent situation. I haven't watched any of the Buccaneers games outside of the first quarter of the Atlanta game, and it was 28-0. So I don't know if it's Lovie Smith's fault, talent's fault, quarterback.
It was everything with a bit of luck. I mean, Rainey got what would have been their first down, and then this is talent and luck. Had the ball out away from his body, it gets swatted away. Suddenly, another Atlanta touchdown. An interesting stat I read is teams that have lost by 3 touchdowns or more are something like 52-8 against the spread in the following week. So that kind of makes me nervous too.
Yes.
So, I'm not a big trend better like that, but when it's that tilted in one direction, I give it a little more credibility.
Well, and the thing, Pittsburgh lost 3 defensive starters on Sunday.
Yeah.
Against Carolina. Their running game might be too much for Tampa Bay. I don't know what James Harrison has left in the tank coming in from the retired list.
Except the ability to scare the hell out of me from 3,000 miles away.
Well, and that you need to say that tweet again.
Okay. Yeah, he still has my favorite tweet of this year by far. As the Ray Rice scandal was breaking, Harrison, who's been fined by Goodell many times, just sent out a tweet saying, "Hey, commish, ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun, is it?"
That is a great tweet. So I had to get you to say that one again because it's priceless.
I love it. Yeah, it's brilliant.
So
I'm nervous, and I'm almost leaning towards taking Tampa Bay.
I'm still taking Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you much. They just physically dominated Carolina on Sunday night. So I'm nervous, but I think I'm going to take Tampa Bay in the points.
Okay, I'm taking Pittsburgh.
All right. Next up is a game we cannot bet on. It is your Tennessee Titans +7.5 at Indy.
Take Indy, folks.
It seems low to me. I mean, I don't want to pile on. I know you're having...
No, I'm surprised Pittsburgh's line changed and this one didn't, to be honest. Especially Locker's questionable. Not that he's played great, but usually when the starting quarterback's hurt...
Especially when Charlie Whitehurst is the next man up.
Yeah. So, no, Tennessee's defense is like Swiss cheese. Fucking holes everywhere.
Well, I think the only reason this line might be so low is you've stated that the worst part of your defense is the run defense. And I don't trust Indy's run game at all. It's better with Bradshaw, but that's all I can think of, because this seems a couple of points low to me, frankly.
Well, and look at the numbers Cincinnati put up. There was not great big numbers. It wasn't huge of like 400 or 500 yards of offense, and we just got crushed.
Well, you kept giving them a short field.
Yeah. Punting was bad. Special teams was bad. The Dalton touchdown catch was a fucking atrocity. And it's just, I don't know what it is. If it's the switch to the 3-4 that's fucked everybody up from the 4-3 last year on defense, I have no idea. But it's bad. We're out of position. Huge holes. And I don't know what's changed from the Kansas City game where we looked like we had a defense, because I thought, Kansas City's just, we shut them down, and then everybody's like, Kansas City's the regression team, so it's like, okay, so that they're going to be shitty. And then they almost beat Denver. And then they go into Miami and win. And really kind of manhandled Miami. Not that Miami's great, but Miami beats New England. So who's good, who's bad, I don't fucking know. Just Tennessee's defense is bad. Yeah. So when you're getting Andrew Luck at home.
At home, too. That's why defense, I think the line is... This line wouldn't be outrageous if it was in Tennessee, but... It seems light for me in Indy. I like Indy quite a bit in this.
Yeah, me too. Take Indy. I'll be cheering like hell for Tennessee to win, but take Indy. I could be out by halftime on Sunday.
All right. Next up, we have Carolina plus 3.5 at Baltimore. Another one that has moved. This was 3 points yesterday.
Yeah.
I just want to stay away.
Yeah, I'm leaning quite heavily to Baltimore just because Carolina has no running game. And I don't know what Cam Newton is without a decent running game, because they were rotating 3 backs last year. And now all 3 are hurt.
Yeah, Tolbert, I don't even know who. Stewart, and
Williams. So,
and I'm not certain that Cam isn't hurt worse than people realize as well. From as long as I could watch that Pittsburgh game before I just got depressed, he didn't seem to be moving quite right, didn't seem loose and fluid.
He's not taking off running when he gets a chance when there's pressure.
Yeah. So, I'm really not convinced that Baltimore's any good at all. So I haven't decided. I'm leaning towards Carolina because they had 2 solid games before a disaster. Baltimore crawled through. Baltimore, well, here's exactly what you said. Baltimore beat the shit out of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh beat the shit out of Carolina. Should be an easy win for Baltimore. I don't buy Flacco, and I don't buy Baltimore yet. Though Steve Smith, the Vengeance game, and he's having a really good season in Baltimore.
Just the fact that they have no running game with Carolina right now, and defensively wise, the Steelers and Ravens are always having physical defenses. So I'm taking the Ravens all the way. I don't want to bet on it, but there's nothing that says to me that Carolina is going to be able to put up more than the 9-10 points, or what they end up with 16 against the Steelers. I don't think they put up more than that.
That was garbage.
No, I know. I don't think they put up more than that.
Yeah, and they had red zone struggles too. Yeah, I'm going to go on Baltimore, though I reserve the right to switch it before game time. If suddenly Barry Sanders comes out of retirement and
you
suits
won't.
Up for the Panthers.
I don't think you know how to use Twitter.
You're not completely wrong. All right. Personal attacks aside, let's move on to the next game. Now, this was where our internet went down yesterday.
Okay,
you were making a really interesting argument. Miami are 4-point favorites now.
It was only 3.
It was 3.5.
3.5 yesterday. Well, my argument was Miami's had the quarterback controversy this week, and Tannehill came out today and said he's pissed off that he wasn't named the starter right after the debacle in week 3. And Philbin's not a good coach. Should Miami be favored by 4 anywhere?
No, I don't see how.
Like, it's not like Oakland played shitty last week.
Oakland didn't roll over. Their pass rush is legitimate.
I like Derek Carr as quarterback. I think he might be the best quarterback in this class that got drafted this year.
I saw a highlight package of him tonight. He moves around really well. Like,
now,
he's one of these guys who, he's not an RG3 or a Cam Newton or one of these guys, but his movement improves an offensive line.
Now,
from what I saw in this package.
Yeah, and there's one thing that scares me that changed from yesterday to today. Starting tight end and their best wide receivers out now. Streeter and Rivera are both out.
Okay.
As of today. So I think
hurts. Because what we were talking about last night was actually taking Oakland on the money line. It was value. I mean, it was one of those picks where we might not have gotten it, but we were getting such a terrific price. I think we're going to have to revisit this one. Streeter and Rivera, yeah, they're out, but how much really better are they than their likely replacements?
I don't mind Streeter. Like, he'd be a number 2 anywhere else, if not a number 3, but he's not horrible.
Don't they have James Jones? Shouldn't he be their number 1?
They do have James Jones.
So I'm not entirely convinced that that's going to back me off this one. Why don't we put that on the back burner?
Okay.
And come back to it. All right, next up we have Buffalo +3 at Houston. I unilaterally declared a moratorium on betting on Buffalo or in Buffalo involved games.
No, Houston. I bitched about Ryan Fitzpatrick the whole preseason, then we bet on him 2 out of the first 3 weeks.
Though we did cash a bet there.
Yes, but we did give points on the road with Ryan Fitzpatrick quarterbacking.
I know.
That was just, you should hit me over the head with a 2x4 the next time you see me.
Yeah, you've got to be the sober second thought on Fitzpatrick.
He's horrible.
I'll buy into James Watt and all of this shit. You've just got to save Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, that said, I don't really want to go... Oh, no, their secondary is a mess. If Watt doesn't break up a pass, it's likely completed.
When Eli Manning looks good again, your secondary's troublesome.
Yeah, and I don't think their linebacking core is any good either. So... That said, I don't really want to bet on Buffalo either. Because, they've got 75% of a good team there, and I watched, every snap in the Chargers game. There's a lot of things I like about Buffalo. EJ Manuel is not good. No arm strength, bad decisions, inaccurate. I don't want to bet on Buffalo. I'm going to take them in the points, mind you, very happily.
Yes, I'm taking Buffalo too. Just based on the defense Buffalo has and the aforementioned Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a horrible, horrible quarterback who has started 80 games, if you can believe it, in the NFL. That was brought up during the Giants-Texans game on Sunday. It was his 80th career start. He shouldn't have 80 appearances. And he's at 80 career starts. So, no, I'm taking
Harvard,
Buffalo.
Man. Oh, did anyone mention that he's from Harvard?
Yeah.
Fuck off, like that's relevant. I actually just want to backtrack briefly to the Tennessee game. I did have one question. In Locker's career... How has he generally bounced back or not bounced back from a horrific drubbing?
Well, the last 2 games have been horrific. So he didn't really bounce back last week.
Yeah, but he was playing the Bengals. The Bengals are...
No, but he was horrible against Dallas.
Yeah. Okay.
He had, 16 yards passing in the first half against Dallas? It was awful.
Okay.
And he had a couple of good drives against Dallas to start the third quarter, and then it was crap. So, no.
I was sitting on my couch earlier, and I thought, oh, Boyd will probably have an answer to that, and I won't bother trying to look up the stats.
And he's not practicing. I don't even think he's playing. He didn't even practice today. So, when your quarterback can't grip the ball properly because of a wrist problem, he's not starting on.
Yeah, and he's barely been able to hit the ground for most of the games, so.
Yeah. So, no.
Okay.
Stay away.
All right. Next game up. Detroit -1.5 at Jets. I would like this game a lot, except for one factor that has burned us repeatedly in the past.
Detroit on the road.
Exactly.
If this was at home, I would be perfectly fine.
I'd probably even lay the 4.5 that the home field should typically give. I would probably lay that comfortably. On the road, I mean, the Jets moved the ball, but Chicago's defense is terrible. Detroit's defense, I think, might actually be good. Remains to be seen, but I think they might actually be a pretty good unit.
The Jets have a pretty good defense. If you look at the numbers, the Bears had like 200 yards offense in that game. The defense gave up very little.
Well, I know you can't run on the Jets.
They had a interception return for a touchdown and recovered a fumbled punt for 2 touchdowns out of their 27 points. So the Jets' defense is for real. It was last year they had a good defense. If they had any type of quarterbacking, they'd be a dangerous team. They'd be a playoff team, I think, with an adequate quarterback. But
and they seem to have decided on Ivory over Johnson. So
yeah,
which I think is the right decision there as well.
Yeah, well, we knew Johnson. He wanted to claim it was Tennessee fucked him, but you could see the regression he had the last 3 years.
Well, and he's one of these guys who it's never his fault. You know, when you're that quick to blame your teammates, that's a big warning flag.
Well, and I would just like it if Tennessee had done something with the $10 million they saved by cutting. We're no better than we were last year, so it wasn't really a win-win here. More like lose-lose.
Yeah, you and Ultron Werner might have both wished you had come to a deal.
Yeah. So I don't want to bet this game.
I don't want to bet it. I'm taking Detroit, though.
I'm taking the Jets.
All right. Next up, Green Bay -1.5 going to Chicago.
Who the fuck knows?
No idea.
They scored 7 points against Detroit, Green Bay did. They only have one receiver.
Chicago got rolled up by Buffalo. At home. I think Green Bay right now, like this line seems a little foolish to me. I don't think Green Bay is showing me that they're 4.5 points better than Chicago. Against the Jets, you know, it was missed tackles in the secondary that led to Jordy Nelson's huge game. But Green Bay didn't look any fucking good in that game either. Green Bay hasn't looked good all year.
No, just relax, though. Aaron Rodgers says just relax. Oh. But he has one receiver. Tight end is non-existent.
Cobb's a decent red zone receiver. Tight end is non-existent. Lacey, the O-line's terrible.
They don't have Clay Matthews again. Surprise, surprise.
Well, and that's what I've said about him for years. And you actually
but he's a pass rusher.
That.
No, he's a pass rusher,
but he always gets hurt.
I know, but he's just a pass rusher. They have no other Their run defense is horrible, and that's not what he's there. To me, he's like a goal scorer in hockey. You don't ask him to play defense.
Oh, no. And
Matthews
I wasn't
isn't a
saying
run-stopping linebacker. No, but he's not a run-stopping linebacker. So, and teams will go at him, which they should. Run to his side of the field. I would, but I don't feel comfortable taking the Bears. I don't feel comfortable taking the Packers, so I say we stay away.
Oh, yeah, it's a stay away for sure. And I think I'm going to take Chicago. And by no means is this an endorsement of Chicago.
I'm taking Chicago, too.
Their defense is about as shitty as Green Bay's defense. Rodgers is theoretically the better quarterback, but he hasn't really shown me that yet either. So, yeah, this is a stay away, but we're both on Chicago.
Yes.
Okay. Next game up, we cannot bet. Jacksonville plus 13 at San Diego.
Take the Chargers.
It's a little high. The number's a little high. I'm still going to take the Bolts.
It's not high. Dude. Rookie quarterback against one of the top 5 defenses in the game right now. That's not high.
Rookie quarterbacks have a tendency to make their careers playing the Chargers, though. Even if it's the only good game they have all year.
Indy has no defense, and they had 2 picks in the second half. No, it's going to be ugly. This will be one of those games.
I need a relaxing one.
You'll be sitting back, relaxed.
I would like it. I am taking San Diego. I do think the number's a couple of points too high based on our injuries at linebacker, our injuries at running back.
They have no running game.
Phillip Rivers is playing out of his fucking mind.
Yeah, but okay, Jacksonville has no running game. Their top receiver, Cecil Shorts,
isn't amazing. Yeah, Marquise Lee is out again too, isn't he?
Yeah. So they have Alan Hearns, who was the fantasy darling in week 1, and then everybody dropped him after week 2.
And I think he did get a garbage touchdown in Indy, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But it's not. They're an awful team. Awful team. 13's the right number for a team as good as San Diego. You're finally getting the respect that you should get.
Yeah, it'll swing to over respect soon.
No, against this team, this is where the Indy line should have been last week. That's 2 years in a row. We benefited from. I don't know what Vegas looks at on those lines between when Indy's and Jacksonville, because it was the same. It was almost the same line last year. We bet. That's why we ended up betting it.
Yeah.
I think it was lower this year. So. This is where the line should be. I will respectfully disagree with your point. This is where the line should be for the home team.
Chargers should be 11-point underdogs, man.
This is what New England would get. This is what any of the other what San Fran would get. Arizona, all the top teams would get this spread.
Okay.
So you're finally getting respect. So don't shit on it.
True.
I haven't seen the Titans a 13-point favorite in my lifetime. So enjoy it.
In your 13-3 season, I'm sure it happened, but okay.
No, because Fisher beat every team by 3 points.
That is true.
Didn't matter who he played, we tried to win by 3.
It's not like your offense has ever been the greatest show anywhere.
No. So enjoy it.
Moving on. Atlanta. -3 at Minnesota. I'm gonna be.
I don't mind.
I'm gonna be backwards on this, Boyd. One of our principles is fade the public. 90% of the money is on Minnesota. This line has moved 4 points.
No way. Atlanta wasn't an underdog.
Yeah, they were.
They were +1.
Yeah.
To start. Fuck that.
That was in the early. Minnesota has a good defense. They had one disastrous game. I think Atlanta's being wildly overvalued. I'm taking Minnesota.
No, I'm taking Atlanta.
Okay, which kind of says we're not going to bet on it. Plus, teams that blow a team out the previous week don't do that well against the spread either.
Yeah, but it's only 3. They're awful. Is Teddy Bridgewater, he had 150 yards and a couple of picks. Like, for all the talk of him in the off season, I don't know what I was expecting.
Surprisingly good defense, special teams, breakdowns.
But they have no offense. They have no running game without Peterson. They have no receivers or a quarterback that I think is going to scare me enough to think that who's the fucking receiver? They get Patterson?
Cordero, yeah.
Yeah. Is he that scary?
I
think the Vikings were overvalued because of what they did to the Rams. I can't believe that the Saints are overvalued.
And I think Atlanta's overvalued. They've got one half of a good football team.
No,
now,
but okay,
you're saying the offense is good enough, but I actually think Minnesota's defense is pretty good.
Put it this way. The one game they lost was probably to, as of right now, I'm not saying they're the best, they're going to be the best team at the end of the, as of right now, they're the team playing the best football, Cincinnati. That was their one loss. And they looked ugly in it. But Cincinnati's made everybody's offense look ugly. We may be undervaluing Baltimore because of Cincinnati's defense.
That's a possibility, too.
Now, Atlanta getting beat on the road at Cincinnati, I'll give them a pass unless they stink here. Then I'll change my opinion a little bit. But right now...
Okay, well, that's a good argument for making this a stay away when we're undecided that this game actually
I'm not undecided, but
okay.
If you're not comfortable betting, I'm
actually even taking many.
I'm not going to try and convince you to change. I just think we're overvaluing Minnesota off one game against St. Louis. And I think Atlanta's getting unfairly criticized for having their offense shut down by one of the top 3 defenses in football right now.
Which are valid points.
And Cincinnati's the most complete team right now. With running the football, receiving with A.J. Green, and that defense. They can beat you 3 different ways. So I'll give Atlanta a pass until they prove otherwise on the road, because Minnesota's an awful team. And what's the success of rookie quarterbacks? Not very good.
No.
So,
okay.
If Minnesota was in Atlanta, this would be an 8-point fucking line. Guaranteed. There's value in Atlanta this week, people. Make some money.
All right. Next up, we have Philly plus 5.5 at the Niners.
If Philly's defense had any ounce of backbone, I would bet the money line on this one. Because the Niners' offense does not look good. Even though Kaepernick's numbers were
Kaepernick had a decent enough game, and I'm first guy to
that's what I'm saying.
Over him. But his numbers were actually pretty solid. I think the first half, second half thing is being overblown and will be slightly adjusted. But I like Philly. I mean, you're right about the defense. Do we just want to jump on the 5.5 maybe? I don't want to get greedy on it.
No. I don't mind Philly here.
I was listening to a lot of all of this, and this week it's because Vernon Davis was gone. The Kaepernick struggled. Like, when will people stop making excuses for him? And again, he had a pretty good game, but there's always a reason Kaepernick didn't live up to the masturbatory fantasies of every football writer who got into him.
No, but what scares me is every time we think the Niners are dead.
Oh, yeah.
Or Kaepernick has struggled, Then he'll run for 140 and throw for 240, and they'll win by 13.
Well, I think you got to love this game for your fantasy purposes because you invested heavily in the Eagles. But I 5.5 seems a little large to me, doesn't it? As dogs?
Yes.
I like this game quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I do too.
It's definitely in the mix. I didn't even mind your idea about taking them on the money line, though I don't think I have the stones to do that.
No, we might as well. They're giving us 5.5 on the road.
Yeah.
Against one of the best offenses in football. And I don't think McCoy struggles again this week. And San Francisco's running game has been not very good. But here's the scary part. When San Francisco needs a win, that's when they turn Kaepernick loose to run the ball. For whatever reason, they try and keep him in the pocket and take that running away from him. And then in the playoffs last year, they just fucking turn him loose and he's a fucking machine. They're at the point now they can't lose. They can't afford to lose this game.
Yeah.
To be 1-3. And that's what scares me. I'm not saying I don't want to bet it.
Yeah. No.
That's just my concern.
It's a concern.
But their defense isn't what it was.
Their defense isn't what it was between suspensions and injury. Philly still scares the holy piss out of me as a concept, at least on one side of the ball. But, yeah, the Niners' defense hasn't looked that great. They don't seem in sync anywhere. And Harbaugh's probably going to,
hopefully go to Michigan after this year.
Yeah. I mean, that's the rumor anyway.
Hopefully go to my maize and blue.
So I do like this. It's definitely in the mix on the short week.
Strongly in the mix, I believe.
Yes.
Because there's not a lot out there that makes sense. I love 5.5 on the road to with it. How many times has a 3-0 team been 5.5 point dogs to a 1-2 team?
Wow. There's some validity in that, though.
No, I know, but when? Like, it doesn't happen all the time. Like, in most instances, this line would have moved 2 points the other way and come down.
Yeah.
You've got one of the top offenses in football going against a defense that has people suspended and hurt.
Well, San Fran right now is living a bit on their hype, kind of like what we talked about with Green Bay. Everyone just assumes San Fran has a shutdown defense. Well, missing at least 4 key components of that, it's not the same defense.
And Gore's griping about how he's being used. Anquan Bolden's blaming the officials for their losses.
He was misunderstood.
Oh, well, they all are.
I know. No, I do like this, and defensively, I mean, Chicago, not a great defense, was able to at least limit the Niners' offense. So
the Niners lost at home to Chicago.
Yeah.
And Chicago, they had 3 picks of Kaepernick in that game. And like you said, they're not a great defense.
No. So.
No. Okay, you got me convinced. We'll be betting this one at the end, I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure, too. All right. Next up, we have New Orleans -3 at Dallas.
Don't want to touch it. Only because New Orleans is awful on the road.
Yeah, it goes back to that, and that's fair. It is a dome. Which mitigates that.
And I don't buy into
somewhat.
the fact that they're. But I don't buy.
New Orleans seems a little fucked off too.
I'm not buying into the fact that you said Minnesota's defense is good. I think New Orleans is overrated.
Okay.
In the offense. Like they're not. They have showed no explosiveness this year at home or on the road.
No, true enough. And this game's a stay away, though, too, because I cannot figure out Dallas.
Like, and to the point about the Falcons, which I forgot, they beat New Orleans on the road and put up 37 in that overtime game. So, just back to that Atlanta game quickly. No, New Orleans is shit on the road.
Yeah.
Shit.
And I think they're the better team, but Dallas has better individual players at a lot of positions right now.
Jimmy Graham's the only one that beats it. And they're going to run. DeMarco Murray will get 25 to 30. They're going to do to New Orleans what they did to Tennessee. DeMarco Murray is going to win that game for him. Dallas is winning this game.
And then play action and throw it to Dez.
Dallas is winning the game. I'm taking Dallas all the way.
I'm totally all over Dallas, which is why I didn't mind it, but I am a little frightened. So I don't know. I don't think it's completely off the table for betting, but too many question marks there.
2-1 against 1-2. Dallas can put up points. Put up 53 the last 2 weeks. And their defense is better than I thought. It was against Tennessee. Now Tennessee may just be awful because St. Louis put up, 31? Something like that, 34. But I didn't watch any of that game. I don't know how it came about. They had the one pick six, but I'm taking Dallas.
St. Louis isn't a high-powered. Yeah, I'm taking Dallas. I don't think I want to bet it, though.
No, I don't want to bet it.
Okay.
But I'm strong on Dallas.
I like Dallas here, too.
Home dogs are generally good bets.
Yeah, haven't been so much this year, but in this case, I like the home dog. Though Dallas has one of the worst home fields out there in terms of advantage. But, okay, and I guess the Monday Nighter here on this bye week shortened schedule, New England is minus 3.5 at KC.
Normally I would just be we're taking New England when it's only 3.5.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch this game.
Neither do I.
I
don't even feel comfortable taking New England.
Their offense is averaging the least amount of yards per play in the NFL right now. Horrible. Gronkowski doesn't look the same. Wide out, they have Edelman. Did you ever think Edelman would be the go-to receiver he was a nice complimentary piece in a Danny Woodhead type of way?
Yeah, but
he's
kind
their
of in
best target.
between Woodhead and Welker. But
but he's their number one target. He's not a game breaker. You're not going to use him deep.
Like Dobson and Kenbrell Tompkins, nothing. The O-line's a mess. They couldn't run against the Raiders, for fuck's sake, and they tried.
They can't stretch the field. Gronkowski's not outrunning safeties anymore. They can't stretch the field. There's nothing open. You're not pulling linebackers away with Gronkowski. You're not doing fuck all. Now, Kansas City's lost their two best defensive players against Tennessee in week 1. Almost beat Denver in Denver, and then went to Miami and won without Jamal Charles.
Yep. And now they have the confidence, too. They can actually platoon Charles and Davis and know that they're going to get production out of the run game.
And Joe McKnight had 2 touchdowns in that game. The ex-Jet.
I read a line today. Ex-Jet, ex-Seahawk. Wasn't he a Seahawk for a while, too?
No, I don't think
Returning kicks,
so.
I thought he got 2 kickoff return touchdowns against the Chargers one time when he was there. I could be wrong. I'd have to look that up.
That was Leon Washington.
Oh, Leon Washington, you are correct. But yeah, I read a line today. It's like, I bet you didn't even know McKnight was still in the league. And I didn't.
I didn't either. I saw that and I'm like, what? Still not as bad as me picking up Chris Gronkowski on the waiver wire in our fantasy and finding out he's hurt.
Yeah, IR hurt too.
Yeah.
So,
although that's not listed beside his name in the fantasy reports, which thank you CBS Sports. And just FYI, their site fucking blows ass this year.
It completely does. You cannot check live scores near the end of games. It's just swamped.
Not even end of games. Fuck, end of first half.
I don't try that
you gotta
much
sign
during
on.
the day. I usually, figure that'll happen.
Well, I was because I couldn't watch the Titan game. The Titans game was over, so I thought, well, I might as well see if I got some joy out of fantasy. But
well, yeah, and our money league, we're paying for the commissioner package. Like,
yeah, it's a package.
If you're being swamped by too many free users, well, fuck it. How about the people who coughed up $130 to play this league get priority, and we have our own goddamn server?
That would be nice.
Just a hint. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go KC.
Fuck. No, I can't. I still can't. I watched the Titans
I don't
game.
blame you. I don't blame you, but New England's been wildly
understand why
disappointing
you're
in every
taking-
facet. So
I understand why you're taking Kansas City, but I'm going New England. Brady on Monday night. Until it's trending, I'm still taking Brady over Alex Smith.
okay. Well, we only have 3 games marked with the red arrow, so I guess those are what we're betting.
And okay, so the first one we're betting is the one we were probably the most high on was Philly.
Yes.
Plus 5.5 at San Francisco. Evil Marlon will hate us for this, but Eagles plus 5.5 at San Francisco. $10 bet pays $19.09. Now the other games we were talking about,
we were going to take Washington laying 3.5
on a Thursday night. Yes, reason to watch it. Because I haven't been. I've been watching a little bit.
Yeah, I want Washington up 45 points by the end of the first half. So
yeah, just like Atlanta, please.
Yeah.
And I want Roy Helu to have 3 touchdowns. So we got the Redskins minus 3.5 at home against the Giants, and Eli Manning face. $10 pays $19.09. And what was the third game we had?
The final game is Miami-Oakland.
Fuck it. Let's go money line on this cocksucker.
Yeah, why not? I mean, we talked about it, and you brought up the injuries, but it's not like you're replacing Randy Moss with a scrub from the street, right? Like, I don't think we can read too much into those injuries. You made a great argument for the money line on this yesterday. Let's stand by it.
No, I know, but here's the problem. We'll kick ourselves if they lose by a fucking field goal and cover. The trend isn't underdogs winning, it's covering.
It's true, but I don't believe this Miami team.
Oh yeah,
they're going coast to coast.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. Okay, done.
All right, Oakland money line.
We have the Oakland money line at home against the Miami Dolphins. $10 bet pays $27 big dollars. And that is been booked. So did you want to recap our
I'll just run through them.
Big selections?
We're making a rare Thursday night bet, taking Washington, laying 3.5 points. $10 pays $19.09. We are taking Oakland straight up on the money line. An Oakland victory puts $27 in our pockets. And I guess for lack of a better term, our pick of the week, we are taking Philly and the points going into San Francisco. $10 bet pays $19.09.
And the Eagles are minus 5.5.
Oh, did I not give the spread? Sorry.
No. That's all right. I'm here to cover your ass like usual.
Until you get suspended again.
Only I can suspend me. I can suspend you and me. You can't suspend anybody. You can check out our podcast.
We need to see that contract.
You can check out our podcast on iTunes or at Stitcher.com for your Android device. On our website, offensivelines.ca. Follow us on Twitter at Offensive Lines for any new posts to the website or when a podcast is released. Follow us on Facebook.com/Offensive Lines. And if you, forgot our personal Twitter accounts, at @OLinesMarlon and at @OLinesBoyd, Facebook.com/Offensive Lines. And if you want to send us an email, it's offensivelines@shaw.ca. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon, and I'm going to guarantee that I will tweet at least once during Sunday's games. And that was Offensive Lines.
Week 4 picks. And I call bullshit on the tweet.
Degenerate fucking gambler.